Hello and welcome everyone to the second edition of the weekly recaps for the 2023 Inter-University Pokemon Society Team Tour. Might be a little bit more scuffed this week based on where I am located. This is not quite the same setup, so had some driver issues, started a little bit late as a result of that, but we are here all in one piece. As you can see, the lovely three divisions and all the teams. Today I am joined by Reels. Of course, I am Takua.
Hello.
Hello.
Hello, everyone. I'm Reels, one of your mods of the team tour, as well as the captain of MCL.
Yep. And we'll have 5 games from you, going in order as per usual, alongside a Doubles Fantasy segment. Do believe the commissioner for Doubles Fantasy cannot be here today, but we'll go through all the standings, etc. when the time comes to that. But yes, 5 replays for you. Let me just get these up. They'll be coming from St. Sandrews versus Type Hull and Paldea, Imperial versus Shipwrecked and Natdex, and Ubers is again St. Andrews, but the other team, Annihilates versus Camrupt. Doubles is Vesper Queen Mary versus Exeter, and Little Cup is KCL versus Liverpool. I do believe now that we can actually get started, just jump straight into things with the Paldea decks. So
yeah,
I will hopefully be able to move a person over here.
No.
Hello.
We have hello, Rache. How do you pronounce the name? Rache?
I call it Rash. A lot of people call me Rache. Okay. So you can pick either or, it's fine.
Okay, cool.
Wonderful. Okay, let me just transition this to the actual replay. And I will also stream for you on here, so you can all see a different feed.
Yeah.
We'll just be scrolling.
Brilliant.
Unfortunately, we might leak some stuff there. Okay, cool. Right. This is the game. I think some people will recognize this just off of the lead. It was a really well done lead, actually. I mean, once we get to that, what were your thoughts going into the matchup?
I hope they lead Torkoal. Because like as you're gonna see, my game plan really revolved around kind of lulling them into like a full sense of security. Because I mean, you see a word chain, you're not really expecting much from it, so you're probably just gonna try to get rocks, or maybe they'll knock me off, or go for like a wisp. So I was kind of hoping that the Torkoal would just stay in, and I could trap it, and then I mean, as we'll see in the replay, I could go from.
So what tower types were you expecting from their tower captains for this match?
Oh, I was 100% expecting Terra Grass, because otherwise my Spidef Gastrodon just kind of walled Walking Wake. So I was really just expecting to be, trying to get the offense in with Walking Wake.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. Cool. Let's get started with this, because this really came down to lead. So this is the word chain's Torkoal, right?
Yeah.
There goes the Drought, and then turn 1 we get Terra Ghost into Mean Look on the
Mean Look. Yes.
Yeah, so this is like a pivotal turn, because now I've basically set up my full game plan, which is trap Torkoal in and then basically use it as setup fodder. And obviously it can't escape. It's most likely going to be like Heat Rock. So, they have no reason to bring Shed Shell. I don't have a trapper on my team. So, yeah, this is basically like checkmate in like one turn, because they didn't like hard switch.
I mean, this is just wild to watch, because now you see the growth.
Growth.
Now I start growthing, and they don't really know what's going on here. They're like setting up rocks, getting a wrist off. I'm pretty defensive still on this. I'm like max HP, a lot of Spidef, and quite a bit of defense as well for their offensive line. So yeah, like now I think I kind of choked her when I went for Giga Train. I could have honestly just let them to keep spamming Overheat and just hope I don't get crit. To just to stall Sun for a bit longer. But don't really end up mattering.
Yeah.
Did he have a recovery move on this version?
No, it was just Giga Drain.
It was just Giga Drain. Fair enough.
It worked fairly well, like 81%.
Yeah, Tingly just gives me all my health back, so it's like a HP pack for me.
And Hydra's team does a minimal mods before getting Giga Drain most of the health back.
Yeah.
And
now the Walking Away Chris lost.
I also speak up to Sidrai quite a bit as well. I'm actually speed tying with Sidrai unless I put in extra few EVs. So
I see.
I mean, whether they actually want to run fast decidueye this matchup is a completely separate question, because I think generally you're not going to do that.
Yeah, no, it had to be defensive, I think.
Yeah.
I feel just for like my other mons in the back.
Yeah. I mean, there's always merit to running fast decidueye, but I guess given your team structure, it probably was most likely defensive.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, like I had like Palafin, for instance, so like you really don't want to be like running like some max attack, like max speed set.
Yeah. And the Woshin manages
yeah.
to pull off the lead sweep into a 4 KOs.
Yeah, so 4 KOs for Rochan, which is like really good. Crit basically mattered unless they're like adamant max attack, which I think from my calcs they weren't, because like you can see how much like Ice Fang does against like Zapdos, like not that much.
Yeah.
So yeah, kind of unfortunate because I could have Terra Blast Ghosted, which should kill again unless they're like really defensive. And yeah, obviously I outspeed Tingloo and just like hit all my health back from it. So yeah, it would have been game, and I would have got 6 over to Rochan, but I get to show off this like Zapdos tech.
Yeah, I mean Zapdos just completely walls this at this point. With the helmet, it's just killing itself off of it.
And Tingloo doesn't wall this because of Weather Ball. Oh no, you didn't have Weather Ball. It was just Hurricane.
Yeah. So this is like Gen 9 in a nutshell, where like you just don't have that one coverage move you really want. So Weather Ball would have been really nice here, but yeah, I just don't have it. I just don't have access.
Yeah, completely miss out. Stone Edge is not doing enough with what I assume is a Fizz Def Zapdos anyway.
Yeah, like max Fizz Def. Yeah, I was also pressure on this Zapdos just because I wanted to stall out specifically Tingloo's Stone Edges. I think I thought that was more important than like running static just for like static powers on Zamazenta. Although honestly speaking, again, if everything went my way, I wasn't really expecting to have to switch into anything that wasn't Wochen. So yeah. I saw obviously had tech in the back. I think I had like some other like I had court change on Cinderace just for like this and Zac, like getting spike stacked on situation. Obviously didn't need to use it, but my team still kind of functioned if for every reason I didn't get my tech off.
Yeah, very solid lead matchups that you managed to predict, and very, very solid setup sweep for Fortune there.
Yeah, like, I'm gonna try to get some more kills with Rocha, maybe across the season, but I can't promise. I can't promise to be sweeping any more teams.
Grow Chen.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
True Ocean moment.
I think this is like perhaps the most like we just won on lead sort of situation out of all the replays I think I've seen so far in the entire team tour. But yeah, if you do your prep right, then situations like this can happen. That's where prep can truly carry games if you prep well.
Yeah, like it was actually just I noticed like a weakness in that team that they probably would be leading Torkoal, and if they do lead Torkoal, they're probably going to try to like get rocks or like knock off, not knock off, but get a hit off on Espeon coming in to like bounce back the rocks or whatever.
Yes.
So yeah, just sounds really nice for me.
Yeah, really good stuff. Is there anything else you'd like to add?
No, not really. kind of sad I didn't get to show off my nicknames.
Any nicknames you want to show off?
Named after like songs or like albums I like. So
yeah.
Didn't get to show off too many of them, but hopefully next week I'll be able to use more than 2 mons in my match. So.
That was a good showing, and definitely pretty good performance from San Andreas overall, I think, from the team tour so far. We also, of course, do have the replay and Ubers coming from San Andreas later, which is from the other team, but again, another one coming in this week. But yeah, it was
I think
great.
that would also be another sweep, but for the Ubers game, got that to look forward to.
Yeah, it was great to have you on, and best of luck for the rest of the tour.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
I'll just leave. Yeah, bye.
Okay. So that was Paldedex. Grochen, truly a Pokemon of all time.
Indeed.
We do like a bit of Wochen. Always good to see it getting a lot of love.
And I think Terra is like one of those mons that you don't think about too much, but given like how Terra Tinlu, for example, is a very like strong defensive presence, Terra like once you Terra, Wochen also becomes like really hard to break down as well. And people usually forget about that because Wochen usually doesn't present threats.
Yeah, I mean, it's a really powerful non Terra for sure. It's been running around Yu. I mean, Yu's changed now with the additional ones coming in after the home release, but was around Yu.
Just the 30 or so months.
Yeah, it's a bit of a hellscape right now, but yeah. Terra Wochen, also a very good mon in doubles, although I don't think anyone actually has Terra Wochen off the top of my head, but is also pretty good if you are to run it. However, moving on to the longest game of today. Unfortunately, the victor from ICL, Arnav, cannot make it today, but it is an 100-turn Napdex banger, as people voted for, in between these two teams. And yeah, it wasn't exactly a quick one. But
so so I think off lead, what we're looking at is this looks like a game where you kind of have to just pivot around for Arnav's opponent. For Arnav himself, you're looking at like an Iron Valiant sweep, whereas I think for his opponent, Pick Fraud, we are looking at like trying to set up things so Kieran can sweep at the end game here. I think that would be their game plan going into this game. Just based off their team composition, their team compositions alone. Obviously, we don't know their sets completely, but just off the that's what I would be predicting their team would be going for.
Yeah, the Kerm really needs the sizzle removed. That's just the thing with this. Kerm has no good way of being able to hit through one of those, especially if they're especially defensive, or just basically wall them on, keep them boosting up. There is one tech you can bring for it, but it's incredibly unreliable and not worth it, which is the Weather Ball if you bring Sunny Day on another mon or Kurum itself. But again, not something that you really want to be seeing come through on the Kurum. Pretty unreliable, but if it is your best answer, or maybe you surprise it, bring it out, or if Sunny Day has some other use in the game, then sure, that makes a lot of sense. But Heatran is going to be your primary way of trying to get around that. But yeah, Sizzle is a big target. You do need to get rid of it in some way, shape, or form.
I mean, Sunny Day is viable here because Heatran is a very good Sun abuser and Torn is a very good Sunny Day setter and pivots. But with Torn, you usually want to run boots, so you only have and you have a great tusk as well. So Sun isn't actually horrible here, but it's unlikely that they actually go for the Sunny Day play, I would say, just given the other mons that they have.
We'll see how it plays out. Can get chipped over time if you run out of Roost now in Gen 9, of course, only being APP. Definitely doable. And Kurum does have pressure, so we'll see how it goes.
So Komo lead versus Kieran. Komo is probably trying to set up rocks here. Pivots to 20, pivots to Scissor, trying a good double switch for both the Komo and the Scissor.
Yeah, I mean, 20 also threatens the heat waves. You never really want to stay on that if you can help it. When it comes in.
And a lot of doubling, trying to catch things out of position, gets a Dazzling Beam on the Cooking Bear, which reveals to not be Burn Orb.
Seems to defense for some variety, gets the wish off. Pretty early Terra Ordino. Sometimes you like to Mega Ordino. Sometimes you like to keep it around for the Regenerator, but just going straight in for the Evolve.
But yeah, given that it's a close combat, Ursaluna, I would say that Megaing early is quite
makes sense.
A viable choice here. But given that the Ursaluna actually switched here, I think that could be choice Scarf damage. Surprisingly.
Yeah, it doesn't seem to be a boosting item offensively. So it's either defensive of some variety or Scarf potentially. But that information is not yet revealed. Rotom just continuing to chip onto this.
And trying to catch the Heatran off guard and manages to catch the Heatran off guard here, but the Heatran can safely pivot back to Ordino, take the Hydro Pump and get a wish off. Even if the Hydro Pump lands there, it's not going to do too much to Ordino. Presumably, it has Protect on top of the wish it might not have Protect on top of the wish here. But manages to get in Great Tusk safely. Great Tusk can now get an attack off, probably into defensive Komo, makes sense.
Nice little chip onto the Tusk here on the Rocky Helmet Komo. Toxic does get red though into the overclock. Comes back out, but you do get a rocks up. So this is just kind of interesting that they moved around like this, because I think this is still fairly positive for ICL here, especially with the knockoff Toxic trade.
Yeah. Knockoff was a fine play there. If they stayed in, you knock off their Rocky helmet, so that Torrent can come in later. But now we see a non-boots Kira, which means that progress is able to be made here.
Oh, it
and
is
we
the
see the weather
day.
ball.
Okay, yeah.
Sunny day weather ball, yeah. And good job on Arnav for scouting the weather ball there, yeah.
Yeah, so that does actually come through. It is your best way of dealing with this mod. Forces it out every time, more or less, especially if you're running enough, because you don't die to 1 BP. So.
But now Flamethrower is actually a really big threat from this Heatran or Magma Storm. It does a decent amount to what I presume to be split after Rotom. And the Plane Split comes out. Is this going to be a Toxic? Yep. It's going to be a Toxic.
I wonder if this Heatran... Yeah, no, it still has room for Protect if it wants to run it, actually. But, of course, not revealing it just yet if it does actually carry Protect. I mean, this is just
slowly penetrating around.
I mean, you're just looking to get things into range on both ends. But Valiant needs things chipped down to be able to win.
A very solid Great Tusk pivot into the Scream. Was it the Screamtail just now? Very good solid Great Tusk pivot into the Screamtail actually just now to try and catch the Ursaluna coming in.
Yeah, I mean, both teams having this wish passing is really, really big. I mean, it's what's keeping everything so healthy right now. Well, that's why this game takes such a long time, I think, partially. Need to get the things. Hydro Miss is very frustrating.
And there's a heal ball. We see a heal ball to remove some form of progress being made.
Yeah. Default comes through, so now hazards are off both sides of the field. Wish comes through again, and this is the annoying part, is I think, let's see here. This comes through, and there's the Encore. Okay, Wish goes back. Screamtail comes back in, probably looking to wish up itself. Heatran comes through here on the wish, though. So Heatran's actually going to go back straight up to full.
Yeah, to full, But the Como also comes in and heals back up to full off the Screamtail wish here. So yeah, this will be a fairly long game. Trying to make progress in this game will come down to getting knockoffs on items. Yeah, there's the Assault Vest and that there's the first knockout of the game, takes out the Torrentine with the Avalanche.
I mean, it's a very big knockout. Torrentine regenerates, pivoting around, knocking off items is a very, very big part of the defensive team here, especially since it is the ground immunity for Ursaluna. So Ursaluna is now free to actually click the EQ or Headlong Rush. I actually don't know what. It's EQ in this case, even.
Yeah.
But getting the prediction here and the hit onto the Ursaluna now with its AV knocked off, really, really chipping that down. Now has to get a wish into it to go for it to be able to be useful at all. I think Ordino here can actually just go for Dazzling Gleam to prevent this. Okay, there you go.
Because Encore Dare is actually a waste of momentum, because the Dreamtail will be switching out anyways to try and get a wish off to something relevant. So I would say the Encore is definitely a bit of a waste there. Even if it is going for wish. We see Dazzling Gleam do minimum amounts of damage, but I think any chip on Rotom is good chip, even if you're going to get pain spected.
I think there was one as a turn that the player did notice out. So this turn here, the I believe so this comes through on the Magma, and I believe due to the speeds, Pick Fraud decides to switch out instead of going 75%. Obviously, it's a risk, so 25% of the time you just lose Heatran if you do this. So it is, of course, a safe play. But I think Arnav was saying that if they get the Magma hit here, it possibly just ends the game for them.
This comes down to like a risk reward on the style of the player. I do think that Pick Fraud right here is actually in a less advantageous position, just because his way of making progress, which is Torrentine's knockoff, in this matchup is dead, and he has no way to get around this Ursaluna, who, if it gets a Screamtail to come in and wish it up, is going to cause huge problems. So I think maybe for me, I would consider just going for the Magma Storm, because number one, if you hit it, then you can at least make progress on this Ursaluna, which is actually causing a lot of a lot of threat towards your team. And number two, if you miss, you're going to lose the game either way because you are in a disadvantageous position. So I guess that's a risk reward on the player himself. But a decision that I would make based on the board state and the fact that I'm in a disadvantage would be to go for the Magma Storm.
I mean, this switch up play almost 100% tells me this isn't the Protect Heatran because you always go for Protect this turn otherwise. But yeah, there it is. Go straight into the Ordino. Wish up. Yeah, this is the Encore from earlier. Yeah, but the key is
I guess
now,
like they're thinking.
Sorry.
Yeah, sorry. But I think their thinking was that Ursaluna's going to die to rocks anyways. But the problem is Rotom can easily defog the rocks away, so it's not the easiest to actually remove Ursaluna from the field.
I mean, it's actually on 20%, so it's not low enough to die to rocks if you get the the Wish switch in correctly with Baton Pass, since this is Baton Pass Screen Tail.
But I think it's like you want to survive the rocks plus the Dazzling Gleam from the Ordino. That's what you need to survive. And with the rocks, I don't think you survive the Dazzling Gleam. No. There's a chance of you, like with rocks, you do though. So without rocks, you do survive.
No, I mean, it's a lot to consider. It's really a positioning game at this point. If you can keep that up, rocks go back up. Go back out to Heatran. I mean, this is actually really good here on the Sizzle. So now you can actually get your rocks up or go for a Magma Storm. Get a Magma Storm miss here.
And he goes for his own Toxic here. Very good read on the combo trying to go for Toxic.
Yeah.
And now you switch out to Ordino.
Still reveal this last move, actually. I'm still quite interested to see what this actually was on Heatran. I don't know if it actually got removed in the end. But here we are. Wish here. Encore again. Encore. Which I'm personally not really a big fan on continuing to do this. It does prevent there's the bear getting back its health.
But I would like that turn. I would personally Dazzling Gleam because it's actually quite obvious what Arnett is going for here. He's trying to get the Ursaluna back up to health, and you cannot let that Ursaluna come in safely.
Okay, you can get rocks up on this, and then Tom Pass goes out into Room Wash. Likely a Magma Storm coming out here gets the hit.
Yep. But yeah, the Wish from Scream Tail just heals it way back up the floor. Yeah.
I mean, this game truly. I mean, I'm looking at a lot of opportunities where Protect Heatran really would have come in handy. That extra damage on Magma Storm. You're also beginning to run out Magma Storms now down to 4 of them.
Yeah. And you're also like, what is the 4th move? Do you think on this Heatran?
Yeah, I at the moment I'm actually not entirely sure. Because I think a lot of options you would have clicked by now.
Yeah, and the Baton Pass is the Intimidate drop, which means that the Zoroark actually has a better time in dealing with this combo, and it does so dealing really good amounts of damage. And the Crunch is a solid 2-hit KO on the Scissor as well. Getting rid of Scissor means that you're opening up Kyurem in the endgame, but since we saw the Kyurem took rocks damage, not sure about how solid it is for an endgame.
Comes of that, revealing it's not a booster actually. Most likely specs coming off of that. Yeah, it gets forced out by Heatran. Flash Cannon. Okay, so Flash Cannon is the fun move. I assume that's there specifically for the Valiant 1v1, which is interesting. If you do actually get KO'd by Fighting Stab from a lot of ranges on Heatran anyway, but I suppose if you're very healthy, then you can possibly go for it.
But now I think Pickford is going to try and position for a Kyurem endgame here. You still need to kind of get rid of the Valiant depending on the damage here, but
it does depend on what item your Kyurem is, because we revealed non-boots.
Yeah.
So it could well be a Rosetti Berry, in which case...
Or a Scarf.
Yeah. Knowing that this is now not boosted Valiant, it would be interesting. Which comes through, but this... Although not having Protect, goes here, EQ, doesn't get the kill. This should go back up to 4 virtually. Yeah.
Yep. And Screamtail comes in toward the Kyurem, which it probably does pretty well, yeah.
Go for freeze, but if I'm not mistaken, there is actually a freeze.
Freeze, yeah.
This is extremely handy because now you just get to remove this Screamtail, which otherwise you just don't get rid of.
The Screamtail had Wish. That was a Wish turn for it.
Yeah.
But yeah, if you're switching out on the Valiant, it does probably mean you're not Scarf here. Yeah.
Yeah.
But this game comes down to
be probably mixed specs with the. We'll see here.
Yeah.
Kyurem comes back in. That's going to be a lot of healing. Kyurem's high base HP and Rotom's terrible base HP, making a difference on that one.
and freeze dry doesn't do enough to split that photon.
Mm-hmm.
And now the Valiant comes back in, and they sack up the Curum to try and get the Heatran in safely. Now you have to go for Magma Storm. I feel like, you have to go for Magma Storm there to try and hit the Rotom.
Yeah. Also, apparently Moonblast killing the Curran. I don't remember. Actually, no, it might be, no, it's Tusk, actually. Sorry. It's not quite yet.
Is he out of Magma Storm PP? No.
No,
but
still has 2 left now.
2 left, yeah.
But the fact
you
is
have to go for
too
Magma
much
Storm
damage off of this. So this is where it can get a bit dicey, is this Rapid Swim, right?
Yeah.
So according to the player on Earth, the Moonblast here is a roll to kill. So if this did not kill, the Scarf, not the Scarf, sorry, the Tusk actually would have won the game.
Because this is Scarf Valiant, which means that it doesn't get the boosting power of Specs.
Yeah. So pretty well played on both sides. Actually, I mean, playing to what they needed to do basically. Freeze was pretty pivotal in order to get to this end game position at all, because otherwise this Screamtail completely wars your Kurum. But yes, spamming freeze dry there was your way out, and then the Sword Stance Overcoil was also really big here, to actually break down his core. So pretty good decision making for both times. It was good to see the positioning coming through actually throughout the course of the game. Yes, 100 turns exactly, and well played.
Well played.
But that is it for Natex. I think that's been a little bit of a slog, as they say. I think that is the longest game we've had so far. 100 turns, not necessarily that long in the grand scheme of things. And definitely games that have gone on for much longer than 100 turns. I think some of our games from BDSP last year actually exceedingly long.
Because no one could take down the Cresselia. Yes.
Or whatever quote-unquote very, very fat defensive mon. We had similar situations with Umbreon and Milotic as well, if I recall.
Yes.
But we don't talk about BDSP anymore, because that never happened.
Yeah, because that never happened, yes.
Yeah. However, we will be talking about Ubers shortly, as we should be getting in another guest.
Another guest, yeah.
Hello.
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 How are you doing?
Oh, good. I think my stream's lagging by 10 seconds, so I just got caught off guard here.
Yeah, it's there's definitely a little bit of a delay between live and the actual between stream.
Do you want to introduce yourself real fast?
Yeah, sure. I'm Flora. I'm the gremlin who runs St. Andrews Annihilates, and allegedly an Ubers player.
Is your first time playing Ubers?
Yes. Speed tour practice notwithstanding, where I played one game and got angry at it because I didn't understand the format yet. This is my first time playing Ubers. For the people who aren't aware of this, my team reacted to Ubers qualifying for formats this year with some upset. So I mostly ended up as the Ubers player out of a desire to solve an argument, because I was the least upset, and also it has Basket Legion in it at full power. So I was like, yeah, that's good enough for me. I'll take the fish. I'll see what happens.
Yeah, the only format that has, well, I say technically Last Respect Basket Legion is legal in doubles as well, but doubles is a little bit different in terms of the way it functions, so it's not quite as overbearing as it is in singles.
Yeah, but I think we had a couple of eager doubles players anyway, so I went into this with optimism, and I alternate between right before a game thinking the format is bad, and so far right after a game thinking the format is good.
Okay, so on this matchup, then, what were your thoughts coming into it?
My thoughts going into it were, I think earlier in the week was, how do I prep for this? Not quite being like sure of how to deal with things like just Primal Kyogre being such a huge stat stick, Arc Electric not being a great thing to deal with purely because Gliscor gets rinsed out by an Ice Beam completely. And just stuff like Mega Mence and Melmetal just feeling like quite overbearing. However, having some optimism that Chien Pao would be very good here and having some interesting tech. That being said, this was a game 5, and this was after 3 losses from our team, so it's sort of already kind of locked in, and I didn't want to stress about it more than absolutely necessary, so I in the hour before the match, I basically just went, you know what, it's fine. I'll tweak a couple of things, but it's not a huge deal. We'll see what happens, and I'll just, try to have fun, focus more on being friendly and cordial with my opponent, because it's not worth getting upset about.
Yeah, sometimes it's just how it is when it comes to your team has already not won enough games to be able to try and fight for a weak win. But we'll get into the replay. And off of lead, we have Sizzle, Mega Sizzle, into Primal Kyogre.
So we take a nice 65%, and that's the Primal Kyogre switch in, because I found that Gastrodon was just passive as shit and wasn't really working out. And weirdly, Shedinja would have been fantastic into this matchup, given what they brought, but I just couldn't guarantee that. So we have a little bit of a funny dancing shuffle for several turns, where I discover that my opponent has a fascination with Substitute, Thunder Wave, and many various tricks.
Reflects me too. Yep.
Yeah. A defensive set. I didn't see it coming, so there is that. I click Close Combat here, not expecting to do anything, but just thinking, okay, this is like the least bad option for what I thought was Banded Melm. And the 16% was lower than I expected, but I just like having Close Combat on Scizor. But now all of my good switching options are paralyzed, and this does come back to bite me in the arse later.
I mean, sometimes the thing is with you is you kind of just have to take the L on T-Waves. Because there aren't that many.
So here, I'm like trying to recover twice. I get full powered twice, and then the Salomon sets up Dragon Dance. Diligently not mega evolving because it wants to intimidate me later, I guess.
Although perhaps going for the Mega Evolve that turn might have been good to get the power late damage.
Okay, so the Scarf Pursuit here is fun. So my beloved unlimited games but no games, the Yveltal, is just able to not care at all. And then even into an item locked Pokemon like Kyogre, just Dark Aura knockoff just does the magic there.
I would say that the Scarf Pursuit actually lost your opponents a lot of momentum, but you don't break the sub on the Arceus, which is
I was kind of like not 100% sure what the best play was, and I don't think I picked the right one, but it's like So at this point, they substitute. I was planning to enact my win con then, but I got full powered. What I should have done is done it on the recover turn. That was a throw on my part, but at that point, I was still kind of in panic mode from the sub +1. So I throw my Arceus and Yveltal down the toilet to safely get the sub broken. Gamble it on the U-turn again, and then we bring in Estradiol Valiant to just
click Encore.
Click Encore. It is around this point that I frantically opened a Bulbapedia tab to extensively read Encore's mechanics and double triple check that I know it's not going to fail if I have to click it multiple times. Fortunately, I learned it's exactly 3 turns, and Fast Encore just does things. The Focus Blast here was like, the first time Moonblast was a fairly good roll, but not one I was willing to risk. The second time it was like, okay, we have to risk the 70%. But fortunately it worked. And Valiant just kind of...
Tasted it from here,
Yeah, and then right at the end, Salamence just lowers my attack and immediately dies. And I've heard that lowering your attack does tend to happen with Estradiol, so possibly something requiring further research.
Maybe. But I mean, that's a great example of just Valiant being a mon of all time for sure. With synergy.
Yeah. Encore is a really good bring into this. A lot of substitute spam basically.
Yeah, Valiant has a lot of just interesting tools, just learning every offensive inclined move you could possibly want. And it just gets to do goofy shit that you wouldn't always expect, and I thoroughly enjoyed having it. Even though it didn't show up the first game last week, it was still it was basically the Destiny Bond Ho-Oh lure, and this time it did this, basically taking the role of good Pokemon away from Basculegion and Xianpao. I was really happy with it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's a solid win, being able to play around even through the full powers and the substitutes, navigating your way to actually be able to get the win con with the Encore there. Definitely takes a lot of being able to think on your feet. So
it was just kind of like, okay, what two Pokemon can I throw away? What Pokemon can I throw away to sack a Veltol and to get the sucker, and then play full power roulette and just hope for the best.
Yeah. Yeah, there is seeming like you're being able to navigate Ubers fairly well after just the 2 weeks.
I hope so. I'm reasonably optimistic going in. I'm definitely not above tweaking my team now that I'm kind of more getting to grips with things and figuring out kind of what I like and what I don't like. Because I don't necessarily like quite how top heavy my draft is, and some of the low tier game pieces I'm increasingly looking at and thinking, you're never showing up, you're never leaving the ball, and all of your accomplishments as a one pointer are like tears in the rain as far as Ubers is concerned. So we might be making some adjustments. I've already made one because I decided that having a 50-20-20 defensive Pokemon just caused me more stress than it was worth.
I mean, Joker's attack still having new king power, as they say.
Yeah, it's a phenomenal nuke. But I switched it in by misclick once in a mock and thought, yeah, I hate this Pokemon.
Yeah, it's a difficult position. I think myself and Reels were actually playing one game where we killed a Deoxys A from full or something like that with a Mandibuzz U-turn.
It was after Rocks, I think.
After Rocks with a Mandibuzz U-turn, which is very funny to see.
My incisive Ubers analysis machine tells me that the rocks probably didn't matter that much.
It did, because I think it was Sash.
I think it was a roll to kill.
I had Sash, okay, that's a bit different, but fair enough.
And I think it actually did matter, because I think it was like 90 to 106.
Either way, it's very funny to see Mandibuzz.
Undeniably.
Like that. But yeah, Deoxys attack can be like that. But anything else you'd like to add or say for the week?
Not really, to be honest. Just hope everybody else who got thrown into Ubers as a default position manages to find their feet, so that we can all have fun. Because I know my teammates, anytime they prepare help with Uber's prep, think this format is terrible. But it's goofy. But I hope that people are able to find their feet, so we have a nice time. I'm looking forward to future weeks.
Yeah, and good luck in your future weeks as well.
Good luck.
Thank you for coming on, and that's pretty much it.
Yeah.
Ubers, hope you
enjoyed. No worries. I'll let you get on with doubles. Have a good stream.
Yeah, and have a good day too. All right. And as Flora said, we will have doubles next. This week's doubles game was a game of all time, truly. In many respects. Very exciting to watch. for sure. And fairly creative in some respects, I would dare say. But we'll get into that in a moment. Just see if we can get them. But yeah, here we are. So
Yep, here we go.
it's Queen Mary versus, I believe this was Exeter. And
It was Exeter, I think.
So it's Yuki's team that we have here, Ninetales. Big proponent of the belly bolt from what we've seen so far, but belly bolt is only one part of the success of this team so far. The star of this show is the most excellent Iron Moth, one of the Terra captains actually of the team. Terra Iron Moth being pretty good Terra choice, I would say. Definitely one of the better options that you have available to you in the doubles meta game. If I just quickly I don't think I've actually
Terra Iron Moth suffers from being a fire poison type more than anything, but being able to change out of the Terra to more decent defensive or offensive profile, especially considered Iron Moth's actually pretty decent special bulk. Makes it so it's very hard for your opponents to actually nail very good special hits on it.
Yeah,
it is still physically frail.
70 or 80
true,
HP, 110 SPDF, something around that sort of figure on the special side. Physdef much lower, but it can still, if you put in a little bit of physical bulk, can actually still take hits. Its HP is actually somewhat reasonable, which I think is the key player here. When you get those low HP.
We will have Yuki join us right now. Hello.
Hi.
How you doing?
Hello.
Yeah, not bad, thank you.
Turn you up quickly.
Okay.
There we are.
Yep.
All right. Can you see everything?
Yep. We're all good.
Okay. I guess we'll start off with what were you thinking going into this matchup?
So the main thing about this matchup was basically that I wasn't able to really respect anything but Rain on that team. So it was, how do I beat Rain?
Mm-hmm.
And I decided the best way to do that was just Trick Room.
Mm-hmm.
I played Trick Room in week 1. So it was maybe a tiny bit scary to go for it again, thinking that's probably something they'll prep into, but inevitably I think the main threat was going to be some covert cloak taunt screen tail, and that didn't show up, so I felt really confident going into this.
Yeah.
Because even without the rain, their speed tiers are really quite fast.
Mm-hmm.
Lots of things around that sort of base 100. Moltres is fast enough. Lando's 91. 2 Swift Swimmers. Really, the Trick Room mode didn't look so convincing.
Mm-hmm.
So this was basically, how do I beat Rain? And, well, we did a pretty good job of it in the end.
Yeah, I would say a pretty good job based on the result of the game and how everything turned out. But we'll get to the intricacies of that in a moment. We'll start off the replay. Leading off pubs.
So we see Pelipper into Bronzong and Kangaskhan.
So yeah, this Kangaskhan was always going to be coming on this lead. So the Bronzong is Covert Cloak.
Mm-hmm.
So I was really banking on Ludicolo coming to this matchup and that being the way to deny Trick Room.
Yeah, we're fake.
So I had Inner Focus and Covert Cloak on this lead. Lando being as slow as that was kind of a surprise to me, so kind of catches me out with the Ice Punch. And turn 2, he definitely reveals Parasong way too early. You're not gaining any value off of this Parasong. Clearly Bronzong doesn't want to sit on the field for that long, and Kangaskhan I've got no problem switching right now. Especially after I eat an ICC.
Yeah, I was definitely confused when I was watching this scene, seeing the Parish come out on turn 2 is a bit unusual. But there goes the trick on reverse.
It gives me a lot of time to respond.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And interestingly, they choose not to mega the scissor there.
Yeah, and I feel like I get a little bit lucky turn 2 that they still don't. I'm trying to figure out why. I haven't got an answer for you.
Yep. Scissor is one of those Pokemon that you do want to mega immediately because you immediately get the attack and bulk boost, and there's actually not much reason to stay
I'm
on
pretty
mega.
sure there's 0 downside, so again,
this Rillaboom was EV to always outspeed that Pelipper.
Mm-hmm.
So I was always going to go for the U-turn just to see if I can position better. Encore on Mr. Mime was a very last-minute addition. I used to be wide guard, I think, but then I changed it. And then I was really happy if Rillaboom went down there to the U-turn, but he U-turns the other slot, and I get this Iron Moth in. I think I catch him out here because the Iron Moth is actually power banned.
Yep.
So he's going for that U-turn, and he gets taken out straight away.
Yeah.
So now having the Rillaboom in the back makes a lot of sense, as this turn, both of his grass resists go down. And now, really, there's nothing on that team stopping the Rillaboom. The Parrot there, I should have Terrored. I was Terror Grass Moth. But he clicked Earthquake anyway, which is a complete throw because it KOs neither of my Pokemon. With the grassy terrain up. Bullybot just destroyed Lando.
Yep.
And then this Discharge again. So Discharge was one of the very first plans we had, just to keep proccing that Electromorphosis.
Yeah, Bullybot just doesn't take much from it with the resist, and it's a natural ball.
Yeah. There I actually Terragrass reading a Hydro Pump, and yeah, they catch me out a bit, but I was bulky enough anyway, being max HP. And sort of at this point, the game is just over. You're not killing any of my Pokemon. Even with the Terror there, you're not killing Bellybolt. Like, the best you're going to do is knock it down to Citrus Berry, and I'm just going to heal back up. And I sort of try and get cheeky here and try and get some assist points for Bronzong with the Trick Room, but then I don't KO it, so yeah. But it was a fairly nice matchup for me, just because I had my bases covered, and yeah.
I mean, always good to see the power band come through all of the speed reducing items on the last ones. I actually had a lot of fun playing Reg C with the Iron Ball and Flutter main teams actually. Which is really fun. Just caught so many people off guard on ladder just seeing the Trick Room come out from Flutter main turn 1.
So we were discussing in our team chat if we should use Power Band or if we should use Room Service.
I see.
Yeah.
But I kind of wanted that flexibility to switch the Iron Moth, so I was like, okay, yeah, Power Band. That, and I get to say it's banded.
True.
And everybody just gets confused, and that's always lovely. Yeah, a lot of decent prep went into this matchup, and it all paid off, so I couldn't be happier.
Yeah, it's a good one. 6-0s and doubles, pretty hard to come by generally when it comes to 6v6, just by nature of the format. But
yeah, it's so easy to just catch a double into one slot and you just lose it.
Yeah, there it is. I mean, what I've been loving seeing is actually just Bellybolt putting in work actually throughout the first two weeks.
Week 1 I could have had this Bellybolt be the MVP leader. I forgot to Terror it. If I Terrored it in week 1, it would be the MVP leader at this point. It would have like 7 KOs. He got 4 this week with an assist. So it was it was pretty much the first thing on the team with the Bronzong. We knew it was going to shred this matchup to pieces, and it did.
Yeah, we'll see on the fantasy recap shortly exactly how all the points are doing. I do believe there is a funny bear currently leading the MVP though.
Yeah. I know Bellybolt's really close.
Yeah, it's definitely got a lot of kills and assists to boot this game.
Yeah,
as well.
I believe the Bronzong is also the assist leader in fantasy right now. I think it's got 7 assists because of Stealth Rock and Trick Room.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, ones that set any sort of support move like Trick Room generally pretty good for assists. So
yeah, use them more.
Yeah.
People are loving my Mr. Mime and my Bronzong and my Bellybolt.
No, I'm genuinely very happy to actually see Mr. Mime get used because this was underpriced on purpose. I hate seeing someone who tiered this. It was.
It was.
Yeah, it's been a huge asset to me these first 2 weeks. It does too much, just way too much before.
Yeah.
All right. Then. Is there anything else you'd like to add?
No, I think we've covered all our bases there.
All right. Well, it was great having you on. Good to see that you could make it, and we wish you the best of luck for the coming weeks.
Thank you very much. Cheers.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
All right. So now,
and that gives us our perfect segue into talking about fantasy.
Indeed, it is coming up right now. Apologies for the slightly weird view on this. It's just the best I could do with Streamlabs based on the setup I have.
Mm-hmm.
Should still be able to see all the stats as best as you can, but
Mm-hmm.
here we are. If we go to the general MVP stats here, 1, 2, 3 is Ursula Wake, Lando T, and there is that belly bolt right there. Tied of Lando T, actually, so it is third place. Very impressive for this mon. Definitely the lowest point mon up here. I can't remember the exact cost of belly bolt off the top of my head. I mean, I might be able to find it if I go to eligible Pokemon, actually.
I can go quickly check. Give me
no, it'll be on here. 5 points. There you go.
Yeah, 5 points. Yeah.
But yeah, generating a lot for 5 points, for sure. I wonder if people will pick it up in transactions. Maybe they will after this week. I know myself, as a fantasy player right now, very much eyeing up trading out the Indeedee female right now. As you can see, it is nowhere to be found on any of these boards right now for a 19-point mon. I think total has not made that many points at all, if I can find it.
Yeah.
Should be.
After a -2 start for Amoonguss, we finally see Amoonguss actually go back to 0. But now the current fantasy, last place belongs to Gengar at -2.
Yeah, Gengar and Poliwrath both sat there right at the bottom. Maybe we'll see some Gengar come out this week as well. But yeah, it has just fired off some attacks, not actually been able to pick up a kill yet and go. But I do believe the Gengar player has made some transactions to fit in a Gothorita now, so that team does finally have access to Perish trapping between the Gengar and Gothorita. So maybe for Perish Song, it can actually put in a little bit more work.
Yep. But yeah, other than that, we see some of the normal suspects on top of the MVP stats. You've got, I mean, apart from the top 3, we have the belly boat, as we just mentioned. We also have Fundy T, Melmetal, Megazord Y, mons that hit really hard, do a lot of damage, and it's mons that you would expect to see on top of the MVP stats here. But if you're making fantasy trades, I think you'd be looking at that belly boat.
Yeah, I mean, definitely for the cost right now. But yeah, I would say pretty much the entire top 20 is relatively expected, aside from the belly bolt. I mean, yeah, Mr. Mime, of course, still putting a lot of work, but there's a pretty good assist mon, as we'll see, coming into this. So KO leader right now, Walking Wake has overtaken the mons here over Thunderous here, with the kills of Walking Wake and Ursaluna both coming up at 7
kills.
Ursaluna in rank 2 because of the games played being slightly higher on that, having come both weeks on both teams that pilot Ursaluna, but yeah, still picking up 7 kills. The bear does do a lot of damage once they have that guts boost activated. Lando T actually catching up as well there on rank 4. Definitely not me piloting Lando T if it's actually getting kills. To say the least. But yes.
I'm just happy to see the usual fantasy suspects. The Melmetal still up there, doing a lot of damage. Melmetal winning the LDL fantasy MVP, I'm pretty sure. Or was it? No, it was your Sylveon.
No, it was Gigalith, actually.
It was your Gigalith. But yeah, Melmetal's still doing really well, but Gigalith nowhere to be seen.
Yeah, I don't think Gigalith has been drafted at all on anyone's teams, which is interesting.
Yeah.
I love that mon, as shown by this season I played it in. But it is really good for fantasy because you're setting up whether you're being able to utilize Trick Room and Sport Moves. So it kind of just does everything, even if it's maybe not the best mon out there. Pretty good at racking up points. But regardless, on this leader count, Bronzong is there leading in first alongside Whimsicott and Ribombee. Whimsicott and Ribombee definitely very, very expected. Whimsicott finally actually making it to fantasy in a big way at last from the last few times. Hasn't done quite as well in the past, but clearly has fallen into the right hands, maybe, so to speak.
And I think the biggest winner is actually Landorus, both forms making it into the top 5 on separate teams. And obviously you can draft both of them, but they will be counted as separate ones. Imagine if you could just draft Landorus as a Pokemon.
Yeah, maybe I should change my entire roster, just include all the genies.
All the genies.
I think a full genie fantasy draft would be interesting, actually, with some low tiers or whatever. I'm not sure. But I think it would do pretty well just off of seeing some of the genies coming up top here. But we'll go to the actual leaderboards for all of you playing right now. And Mojo Scorpion is yet again still at the top.
Yeah. But the biggest winner this week will go to Jamie at second place with 65 points. But Mojo keeps his place at number 1. But only a 9-point gap between first and second, and only a 13-point gap between first and third. So it's still a lot to play for in the next few weeks.
Yeah, the big point scorers this week have actually been the Walking Wake and the Ursulina, so the players that have drafted those have gone up a lot, as well as Tornai finally scoring this week, because first week, I believe it didn't actually score anything. If we go back to here, yes, so Tornai here got 0 in week 1, but got 16 in week 2. So definitely a big one for all of you Tornai enjoys. Of course, Melm as well. You can see the disparity between some of these mons between week 1 and week 2, but this will keep happening as the weeks go by. It's going to be a case of what mons are actually going to be consistent in the weeks to come.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, all to play for, of course, still. 6 more weeks to go on Fantasy. At the bottom we have, unfortunately, because they joined week, because these 2 players joined week 2, they're a little bit far behind on the points. They scored 0 in the first week, but you can definitely still make it up. I've seen some people jump big ways in Fantasy in the past, just by some mons getting very, very ridiculous point scores in the weeks. I think. I mean, if we are going back to LDL Fantasy, Sylveon having scored literally the maximum amount of points you could possibly score in a week. With I think it was 19.
19.
Yeah.
And also Mega Gardevoir doing the same as well.
Yeah.
Obviously, there are 2 divisions here, but if any mod gets 19 points in one division, you're going to get a lot of points for that week.
A lot of points. Very, very much possible. It has been done, albeit rarely, because you need to get them on to get all 6 kills and not die. But yes, there it is. That's all for Fantasy at the moment. If you need to make transactions, make transactions. I mean, we can have another look at the mons that aren't doing this. I mean, what mons are like pretty good normally, but aren't doing so well? If we look here,
pretty good for Fantasy, or they're not doing so
I
well?
guess just in general, I don't know. I mean, Conkeldurr
you've got your Arcanines, Gastrodons. They're quite languishing right now. I think those are actually fairly decent Fantasy mons, but they aren't doing too well right now. You've got mons like Politoed also not doing quite well right now. In DDF itself,
DDF
actually earned a lot of points in Fantasy, but still not doing well right now. But
DDF with 5. Mokro
and Mega Gardevoir.
Mokro only with 7 actually at the moment as well. That's another big one.
And
Mega Gardevoir is only in 1 division though, so I think that's like slightly more understandable with how things have gone. But yes, definitely a lot to go. But yeah, that's been Fantasy, and I think we'll move on to LC. Again.
Yes, the game of all time.
Yes. Unfortunately, the player cannot be here for this one either, but we will provide you the best commentary we can. I believe they have left a quote with us. Let me just quickly find this.
For people wondering, this would definitely be the best game of the week. I think.
But here it is. The quote from Mowgli Move KCL. I hate to see someone go down that way, but my opponent needed to chill out a little. And I will leave it at that for now as we get started.
In this game. A quick analysis before we start. Quickly pause. Yeah, thank you. This Taillow is quite... this Taillow actually doesn't have a great matchup, but we're looking at something like Mudbray. Mudbray doing well. Snivy actually does fairly well here as well. So, and then on the opposing side, there's actually not much answer to the Poignard except for the Mudbray, but it doesn't take Poignard hits that well. So we'll see how this one turns out. LC is a very volatile tier where things can happen. Momentum can shift in just one single turn, and you could just lose a game off just one small decision.
Leads are also extremely important in this tier, just because of the amount of damage that you can pull off or momentum you can gain just off the lead. If you don't get the lead right, which in this case is a bit interesting, because of course this Taillow is presumably faster, but let's say it's Scarf Electrike, then you threaten a kill situation, but if the Taillow is faster...
Leading the Taillow is fine here, because if they lead... Taillow's good into everything else, and if you lead Taillow... if they lead Electrike, you can just hard switch into Mudbray, and there's actually nothing the Electrike can do.
There is absolutely nothing. The problem with Electrike is the total lack of coverage options. It is still a fairly budget mon on the whole grand scheme of things, although a pretty good budget mon. But we'll get started.
But yep, and we see the heart switching to Mudbray. There's a switcheroo, switching the choice scarf into EVO, which cripples the Mudbray right away. The Shellos comes in, presumably he's wanting to take an Earthquake, but he just sets up rocks and pivots out.
Yeah, so rocks go up on both sides, very big, although Snivy, if they do want to, can opt for defog, instead opting for Glare, because defogging onto a Pawniard is a recipe for disaster.
As this is an unfortunate bit of foreshadowing, but let's continue. But yeah, now the Mudbray goes for Rock Slide, trying to catch Driftloon, but he just smartly goes Shallows, avoiding Driftloon, recovers up, and now the Snivy can get us a free Leaf Storm here. We'll do actually quite a bit of damage to the Pawniard, but instead chooses to go for knockoff.
Getting rid of you like that's a lot of bulk. However, unfortunately, this did end up happening, but then they get the full power, but it's still got +2. So Shieldon comes here, gets an Eviolite knocked off, is faster, gets a little bit of chip, but unfortunately, Shieldon just having to get sacked to the Pawniard here.
But yeah, Sucker Punch will definitely decimate this tail though. Yeah. There's no doubts about it. The Mudbray being forced to come in on the Sucker Punch, and Earthquake takes out the Pawniard. A bit fortunate there for the full powers, but I think this is the out you have to go with, especially after giving the opponent an Eviolite boost. Not Eviolite boost, a Defiant boost.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
There comes in, takes the Flare Blitz, and the opponent switches up to Snivy, presumably to get a Leaf Storm, but does this one even have Leaf Storm? No, it goes for Defog. Safely can go for Defog now with the Pointed Dad, but we real to be offensive Snivy here. Physically offensive Snivy kills the Driftloon with knockoff.
Yep, Aquacell to get it into knockoff range, very nice. Glamor getting a one shot with Glamor, very, very high special attack for a little Cutmon.
Yeah, 105.
Yeah, Tide of Aberrant Solosis.
Yep, and now we see the sticky Hold Shellos being revealed, and actually takes the wall charge with the Eevee, surprisingly a bulky Pokemon, but he will keep going for the wall charge here. He keep going for the recover here, trying to make sure that it's at high health even after the cover. But I would say that just attacking into its Ponytail is better because you are not going to survive. Yeah, so you should have just attacked into Ponytail when you had higher health and just leave the Shellos in field, because lack of set of options from both Staryu and Mudbray mean that you're not actually going to get abused.
Mm-hmm. Here comes a poison.
Yep, and this is a Scarf Lamora as well, as we can see.
Yeah. However, because of Zero, it's actually a Scarf Mudbray now, so this Mudbray is actually going to get another attack before it drops. Although I say that, and it won't because of the drill bear, I think, presumably actually being scarfed itself.
Scarfed itself, yeah. That's not a Scarf drill bear, actually.
Interesting.
So Mudbray was just really slow.
Very, very slow, yeah.
But Ice Beam gets the freeze on the drill bear. But remember, there's still an Eviolite Electric in the back, which will definitely 1v1 the Staryu, given normal circumstances. But this happens.
Yeah. Unfortunately, Agent Freeze comes in twice in a row.
Yes.
And secures a win for Moglimu.
Depending on how much investment the Staryu has, the freeze on the drill bear doesn't matter, but the freeze on the electric 100% matters.
Agent Freeze has come out a lot in LC so far. This has not been the first week, because in week 1 we went for a replay in LC which had a freeze come in extremely clutch, and now we have the double freeze in week 2. So if anything, I'm expecting 3 freezes come out in week 3.
Yes. So this is really mounting up expectations, though, because now we'll have to deal with 8 freezes in week 8.
Yep, 8 freezes in week 8 would truly be a game of all time. Someone needs to draft Happini with Serene Grace and then put Ice Beam on it. I think that's what we need to see next. Give you a 20% chance extra Ice Beam shenanigans.
Indeed.
But yeah, freezes status condition of all time, as I think we found out in 2 weeks in a row. We've had 2 weeks in a row of LC replays come down to freeze hacks or hacks of some variety, which I think is very interesting. Maybe showcases how volatile the tier can be if you just get like one piece of hacks off and that can just win you a game. But probably applies to any format if you get freezes.
LC is just a volatile tier in general. Easily, if you lead wrong, if you play wrong, like momentum shifts like basically instantly. Like it's just it's a really offensive, aggressive tier.
Yeah, so I have to be prepared for. Hazard's also extremely important. That's why both players are very much trying to remove them all the time. Why the Snivy ended up defogging and supporting, it's the same reason. You really do need to keep rocks off the field, especially for mons like Ponyta and Taillow. Well, they really appreciate taking 25% of what is an extremely frail health pool to begin with. Taking 25% basically means that you are going to get one shot by a lot of moves that maybe you'd otherwise live on a sliver. But that, I think, has been the last replay of today. We would take a look through the standings otherwise, but as of right now, I do believe the standings are having a few issues.
They're still updating right now, yeah.
So those will get back to you whenever they do get updated. There's a lot going on behind the scenes. Apologies for that, but we're trying our best there, or at least, of course, big up to Red Rouge as always for being able to manage all that back end. But yes, you'll see those next week or whenever you find them on the dock. So I believe that is about it for us for now. That has been the 5 games that you have voted to select for this week, and hopefully 5 more bangers to come the next week. Maybe I'll try and get a form out a little bit earlier. Apologies if it was a little bit late on Sunday this week. Did have a few things going on, so I couldn't get that out maybe as early as I would have liked. But yeah, if you are watching and you have any sort of questions or things that maybe we could improve on with the way that we're running media, do DM myself or one of the other people on the media team, and then we can look into things. So, but yeah, that's it from all of us. Stay healthy, stay safe, and we'll see you next.